That title is just a coincidence. Chapter 1, Season 6, released 7 years ago? Jesus Christ, I'm old. This was the first ever season that I was actually fully invested in. Yeah, sure, I played Seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5, but it wasn't until Season 6 where I put a ton of time into the game, grinding and really learning the ins and outs of the game. And somehow I still missed the live event. But since we've reached the 7-year mark, I thought what better time than to look back at Chapter 1 Season 6 and give it a little review and say what it did well, say what it did bad, and then at the very end, as a little bonus round, compare it to the OG season that is also out right now. And you might be saying, why the 7-year mark? Why not the 6-year mark or the 8-year mark? And it's because I want to do it now. But first, if you do enjoy today's video, then consider subscribing and use the code BigCraigd in the Fortnite item shop. You guys have crushed it so far this month. I'd love to keep it going. But also, if you want something in return, you can become a channel member like the Helper Craigs for as little as 99 cents a month for a shout out, or you become a Turbo Craig for $2.99 a month for a big boy shout out, exclusive videos, and a bunch more. Okay, thank you. Okay, get this, get a load of this. Apparently, on season launch, the only new item in the loot pool were the Shadow Stones. I'll tell you what, they couldn't get away with that now. Shadow Stones, for those of you who don't know, were funny little stones left by the cube, and if you ate one, or whatever it is that you did to it, you became a little ghosty, and you could go really fast, dash through walls, and if you were really smart, fly. And if I'm remembering correctly, these things were buggy as hell. And it looks like Fortnite OG continued this trend, because like 2 days ago, the little bastards got removed entirely because people found a way to make the infinite nitro last. Good job, Epic, I guess some things never change. Speaking of change, let's talk about map changes. God, I am so smooth. The only major map change was the giant floating island in the middle of Loot Lake, which was okay. In my opinion, it was more of a novelty than anything, because once you understood and came to the terms of the fact that it was a floating island, you kind of just realized that it is still just the Loot Lake house with like 2 chests. Oh, I'm being disingenuous. There was one by the rock as well. In Season 4, you had risky reels on the giant crater in the ground. In Season 5, you had the giant sand biome rework and lazy links. Season 6, you have a big island. I don't remember what the reception was like when the season first launched, but I feel like the floating island being the only big map change might have been a bit of a letdown. But Craig, what about the Haunted Hills castle? You're absolutely right. Haunted Hills did actually get an update this season too. They added a giant haunted castle vampire thing on the top of the mountain facing Haunted Hills. Now, I barely ever landed here, so I don't remember how it all goes, but surely the POI sucked big time, right? I mean, it was on a mountain that was very difficult to get to once you've already landed, which meant that you'd have to either land there first and go down into Haunted Hills, or you'd have to waste a ton of mats getting back up to the castle. And I don't really understand why you do that, because A, Haunted Hills itself has more chests than the castle, and B, by the time you've already looted Haunted Hills or the castle, the storm is probably on the way and you'd have to leave anyway, you know what I mean? And this was before ziplines were added too, so it's not that you could zipline up there. You think it was difficult now in Fortnite OG present day? Go back 7 years and try doing it then. I can assure you it was more difficult. But from a design standpoint, oh, go on then, it's pretty bloody cool. Okay, so throughout the mid-season, they released a bunch of stuff, so I'm just going to rattle them off and say my thoughts as they come by. They added the Chiller, kind of useless. It was good for that one ramp maneuver thing, but it was still kind of useless. Like, in what world am I going to run into a building, get chillered, and go, oh no, I've been chillered. I've been outwitted by my enemy once again. No, it's not happening. The Quad Launcher, now coming from the guy who hates any kind of explosive weaponry whatsoever, you already know I hate this thing. Similar to the Swarm Strike rocket launcher, it lets you shoot multiple rockets without reloading, putting pressure onto the enemy, and it was very, very annoying. Any loot pool without the Quad Launcher is a better loot pool in my opinion. I don't like it. Also, for some reason, I used to call this thing the Jenga Launcher and genuinely thought that that was its name until like last year, and I have no idea why I thought it was called that. The Quad Crasher. Now, this was the best pieces of machinery ever added in the game, and it was revolutionary for the time. Fortnite could never create something as beautiful as this in the modern day. No, this is a period piece. A timeless period piece. You can fly with it! Whee! Fortnitemares is here. Wow, that came quick. The Cube created an ancient vortex to the last reality, allowing them to send cube monsters to the island or something, I don't know. With the Fortnitemares update, we got the 6-shooter. Now, I was under the impression that this thing was terrible, but when I used it in Fortnite OG, it absolutely demolished anyone who got in its way. I didn't want to say this, but I'm kind of part of the 6-shooter nation now. I know, I'm sorry, it's just good. As long as you don't ADS, you can just everyone's dead. We also got the crossbow, which was about what you'd expect. Terrible. We got the pumpkin launcher, which, I mean, yeah, come on, it's a classic, you know, we gotta love the pumpkin launcher. Oh, but you said you hate the rocket. Yeah, well, this is the one exception. And finally, for the Fortnitemares update, we got the Cube Fiends, which were terrible. a little. When I played back when I was like 11 or 12, I didn't really mind them. I thought they were fun and were a little something to do in the mid-game. They would spawn across the map at random places and would give you shield and items on elimination. I thought it was a good concept, but if they disabled them after you reach like the top 15 or something, I feel like a lot of people would have been a lot more tolerant of them. Next, you've got the balloons. No, not the good ones, the terrible ones. When balloons first released, you didn't put them on your back like you do now. Ho, 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 ho. No. You would actually carry the balloons, meaning that your hands were full. This meant that you couldn't use weapons or anything while you were in the air, which made balloons kind of pointless. Like, what were we even supposed to do with these? My guess is that they were supposed to give you, like, a short burst of airtime before you pull out a weapon or something, but I believe grapplers were still in the loophole at this time, so I don't understand why you wouldn't just use a grappler, but whatever. According to my sources, the dual pistol, semi-automatic sniper rifle, and the guided missile were unvaulted. I don't remember that. And later on in the season, the famous heavy assault rifle would be added to the game. I love this thing. I love it. Although, I don't remember this thing being added in Fortnite OG. It's almost as if they haven't bloody told us. We got the mounted turret, the first of its kind. And only. I remember there was serious hype behind this thing when it was leaked. Like, my cousin came up to me and said, yo, you hear they're adding a flamethrower? And I was like, yeah, I don't think that's right. The mounted turret was fine. I felt like it would always overheat too early before you could actually do anything with it, but I also think that it wouldn't work very well in the loot pool nowadays since build fights are fucking bonkers, and it would also probably be too overpowered in zero build, so it's just blacklisted at this point. They added dynamite, which I never really liked. In fact, I called it one of the most useless items in Fortnite history, and I really thought it was useless until the Dynamite Union came out and told me that I was wrong and should die, and they also pointed out that you could cook the dynamite, which meant you could be more tactical with how you used it. And finally, for the loot pool, they added the purple and gold pump to the game for the first time ever. I hate these. I don't like one pumps. There, I said it. I think one-shot weapons aren't good for the loot pool. I think they ruin fights. I think it's not very good. There, I said it. What are you gonna do? Fight me? Please don't. I just don't like it. Just a personal taste. It'd be perfectly fine with it doing like 190 damage, but when you reach 200, you're taking it too far. This season had a live event, like many do, and this one was actually pretty good. The cube would be drained of its power and would start dying at Loot Lake. We all gathered around to take a look at what would happen, and the cube exploded. It took us to an in-between realm where the 0 point was kept, but we didn't know that at the time. We were approached by a butterfly, and as we touched it, it would transport us back to the island, and we would see a brand new POI take Loot Lake's place. I love Leaky Lake! Leaky Lake has got to be one of my favorite POIs of all time. I mean, look at it. There's a lot of loot inside of the POI, but it's easy for someone to shoot you from outside of the location. It's a high-risk, high-reward POI. It's also very, very nice to look at, and once the hype around the new POI died down, it was a very nice and decently chill place to visit. I'm really looking forward to it coming back to Fortnite OG. It's the one thing I hope they don't change at all. That was a short part. I might just artificially extend the runtime of this part to make it a little more... Before we start doing a proper comparison, I do just want to vent about something and get something off my chest here. This is not Season 6. The vibes are all wrong. Things that feel too colorful. They feel too clean. Season 6 was dirty. It was desaturated. This is not Season 6. This is Season 6. It was so bad that I went into my graphic settings and manually turned up the gamma just to hopefully get it looking even remotely similar to the actual Season 6, but it just doesn't. It isn't right. This is wrong. Anyway. Tangent over. Okay, let's compare it to Fortnite OG. So far, we've reached just before the butterfly event in Fortnite OG. In fact, it's happening this Sunday, so be there for my live stream. Meaning that Fortnite OG currently is still in its Fort Nightmares stage. Not that you'd know that from looking at it, but we've already talked about that, so let's just move on. First of all, we've got the locations. The castle is there and the floating island is there. The cube is purple. It's all seemingly accurate. Except it's bloody not. Up until this point, the cube has been red in Fortnite OG. Yeah, it's not accurate, but unlike all the other inaccuracies in Fortnite OG, this time it's intentionally inaccurate. But for whatever reason, they went out of their way to make the cube red all the way through, the rift being red, the cube being red, Loot Lake being red, Ultimate being purple again for the seemingly no reason. I love this game. And fine, I guess they just wanted to abandon the OG storyline and get back to the regular Fortnite OG story, which is... fine. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. It wasn't working. Fine, that's okay. Then why are the shadow cubes red? I don't know why, but for some reason they reverted everything to being purple except for the Shadow Cubes, which were now Chaos Cubes. They're not called that. Havoc Stones, and they now gave you Nitro, and I did not like this. This was very lame. What a lame effect. What a boring effect. Like, can they do that? The Shadow Cubes are such an integral part of Season 6's identity. Can they just remove it like that? Is that legal? Since Fortnite OG doesn't do a weekly release schedule, instead they do that really annoying Part 1 and Part 2 situation where they release Part 1 and Part 2 will come out at a random flipping time and they never tell us. And they also vaulted the minigun, which I can say for an absolute fact was in Chapter 1 Season 6, but it isn't here for some reason. And then they re-added it back halfway through the season, so why did they vault it to begin with? Like in the actual Season 6, they added the quad crasher, except they didn't spawn the way they were supposed to. They took fuel and you couldn't fly them anymore. Brilliant. Fortnite actually hyped up the quad crashers like, yeah guys, we're getting kind of crazy with this one. You're gonna be able to fly the quad crashers just like the old days. And then you just couldn't. It took them about 2 extra weeks, but they did make it so that quad crashers could fly, kind of. It's not the same as the old days, but at this point, we'll just take what we can get. Did Fortnite not test the quad crashers originally then? Like, did nobody think to check whether the quad crashers could actually fly or not? Or did they test it, see that it didn't work, but didn't tell the intern in charge of the Fortnite Twitter account and that it was bugged? Like, what exactly happened here? October 24th also marked the beginning of Fortnite OG's Fortnite Meds, but you would be forgiven for not knowing that because Fortnite have not mentioned it once. Not once. Or twice. That combined with the fact for whatever reason they didn't add any fog or anything to make it actually look like it was Fortnite Meds other than the decorations that have been on the islands at the beginning of the season, or just anything to show us that something different was happening, makes it really difficult to tell what's going on. Look at this. This is Fortnite Meds. This is ridiculous. Differently to Chapter 1 Season 6, the cube monsters spawned at the corrupted runes only, which I think makes everything a little better when it comes to how annoying these guys were to fight in the end game. This is like the only good change they've made this season. I'm being so serious. And then to round it off, they've basically just disabled Havoc Stones from the game because people found an exploit, so honestly, they were a waste of time. I'm predicting it now. They are not coming back to the game. They're gone for the rest of the season. They're not putting resources into Fortnite OG to fix this. Let's be serious for a minute. Their Havoc Stones are gone now, and to be honest with you, I'm fine with that. And at the moment, we're caught up with Fortnite OG. It wasn't until I directly compared the two where I realized that there are glaring issues with Fortnite OG that the original season just didn't have. And I only covered the major stuff today, so that's not even considering things like trees being in the ground, props being duplicated, bullet spread being wrong, weapons being in the loot pool when they should be. Chapter 1 Season 6 as a whole is a solid season. It had its quirks, but that's because Fortnite were trying something new with the game and its pacing. I thought the map changes were a little lackluster for the time, but they made up for that with how the map would change later during that season and in the following 4 seasons. All in all, Chapter 1 Season 6 was a solid, decently balanced and well-updated season that a lot of people didn't like when it originally released, but I think I can say for certainty now that it is a lot of people's favorites. Maybe not their top favorite, maybe like top 10, I don't know. I give Chapter 1 Season 6 a solid B tier. That's right, we're doing a tier list now. I'm planning to hopefully make this a bit of a series where we slowly go through every Fortnite season from Season 4 to whatever the present season is. I started with Season 6 since it was topical, and when OG Season 7 comes out, I'll move on to Season 7. We'll get to Seasons 4 and 5 at some point, but until then, we're just going to go in order. I'm not covering Seasons 1, 2, and 3 because I just don't count those as proper seasons. Like, what do I even say? Yeah, I don't count those, really. If you did enjoy today's video, then be sure to subscribe and use code BigCraigd in the Fortnite item shop. Become a channel member, you know, do whatever you want to do. Or you can click the funny card on the screen to set yourself to a video like this one, but better. Okay, bye-bye.